And good morning, everybody. It's Midweek Motivation Live with Patrick Lee, coming to you live from StreamYard Mobile, my mobile streaming service on the Apple iPhone. I'm going to give people a couple of minutes to tune in here. We're going to be talking about trust today. Give people a couple of moments to tune in to the show. I am out between locations today on the way to an appointment. We've already got people tuning in. And we're going to be talking about trust today. What is the matter with trust in today's day and age? Trust means a whole lot to a lot of people. We're going to talk about what it means to you, maybe, what happens when we lose trust, and a couple of potential ways to help regain that trust. Um, Sitting out in front of my favorite coffee shop today, Roasters Coffee in Amarillo. There are a couple of great coffee shops. I don't choose to go to the big brand name coffee shop from a nameless state up in the Pacific Northwest somewhere. I don't care for their coffee or their service or their company, but it happens to be, a matter of personal preference. I love Roasters Coffee in Amarillo. It's one of my favorites. I trust them to make me a great Americano every time I go in, and as proven by the crowds and the lines. Actually, the line behind me through the drive-through goes all the way around the building. A couple of times it seems like, goodness gracious, this place is always busy, right? Give me some likes and loves for Roasters Coffee in Amarillo, Amarillo's favorite local coffee roaster. Um, they'll love the love. When I get into the comments on this later, I'm going to tag them in here so they can know I threw them a shout out at Roasters in Amarillo. Yeah, we've got a few people, almost a dozen people watching already. That's terrific. Hope everyone is doing good today. It's a Wednesday, first Wednesday in August 2020, and for the sake of posterity, this will be the date goes in this. This will be sent out later on as a podcast on my upcoming podcast channel, and people will know when this was recorded. We are still in the throes of passion of the pandemic of 2020, the great coronavirus, the COVID-19. I hope many of you have not put on the COVID-19, that 19 pounds, and if you have, there's a way to get over that. We can lose some of that. But anyway, today we're talking about trust. It is a matter of trust is the topic of this segment this week. And maybe some of you have lost trust in the past. Maybe someone has betrayed a trust with you. Do you feel like you have possibly lost your trust with someone? Maybe you have, maybe you haven't, but I know that this is a thing that has come up in my life lately, from multiple sides of my life in different relationships, business relationships, personal relationships, people in my family, people in the past, people in my future. And one of the things that we talk about moving forward a lot in business relationships is trust. I am making some new business relationships even as we speak, new people that I am talking to, new companies that I am deciding on whether to do business, enter into a business relationship with, on some new ventures and some things for my business. And trust is one of the things that comes up pretty regularly. There are people in the past that don't trust you, people that in the past that maybe you don't trust anymore, that you used to trust, think you could trust. Friends that used to be your friends, and then all of a sudden they're not your friend anymore. And sometimes you know why, and sometimes you don't. But when those things happen, it can be easy for us to lose trust with that person. We don't know their motives anymore. We don't trust their motives, their intentions. One of the things that we can never do as a human that we're so tempted to do all of the time is judge someone's heart. And we don't know their heart because we can't cut open their chest and see what those heart motives are, right? Can't do that. So you have to trust that the person you're in relationship with or talking to has wholesome intentions and motives, right? All we can judge someone on is their track record. The only thing we can ever judge someone on is track record. And if they don't have a good track record, it's harder to put some trust in that person, right? Maybe this is speaking to some of you. It's definitely spoken to me a lot in the past. People are already commenting, hey, Belinda, Christine, Sal, Deanne, Marlene Ross, my brother. A lot of people already weighing in on this, right? It's God's country. Well, I've heard that heaven, almost heaven, is West Virginia. Does that mean that Virginia is heaven? I don't know about that, Christine. Maybe Oregon is. Maybe Texas is. Wide open spaces down here where I'm at. But anyway, love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Maybe you have put your trust in someone in the past and they have betrayed that trust, right? It's happened to me. Exactly, Cody. Blue Shirt Group. I'm now the Patrick Lee Group. My shirt matches my logo. How about that? Wow. It almost blends in right there, right? My shirt matches my logo. EXP colors are the cobalt blue, and a bright orange. Orange isn't really my color. Um, Keith Urban says blue's not your color. Keith Urban, you're wrong. Blue is my color. So anyway, so maybe someone has betrayed trust with you in the past. And I'm not trying to make light of that. I'm just joking with you guys. Someone may have betrayed your trust in the past. And is it maybe you feel like you have lost your trust with that person? How do you deal with it? How do you handle that? Do you feel like you're the person? Are you living with guilt because you feel like you may have been the person that betrayed that trust? If that's the case, are you willing to come to grips with that and try to heal that wound? Why or why not, right? Good questions. If we're willing to come to the grips with the fact that possibly we are the worst, or we are the person that betrayed that trust, then we have a lot of ground we need to regain with that person. Yes, Christy, you're right. It's worst when it is a close family member. And Frankie absolutely lost trust in people due to dishonesty. If you're in business with someone, get used to this fact. Here's one of the things I can tell you for sure in business is a constant and unavoidable, and that's dishonesty. It just happens. The Bible says that the love of money is the root of all evil, right? Not money itself. So money is not evil. Money is simply a tool that can be used for good or evil, right? But the love of money is the root of all evil. And dishonesty generally comes when someone has an out of balance love for money. When that love for money becomes out of balance, people will do underhanded things, dishonest things to get their hands on more money, whether it's more of their money or more of your money. Okay, so that just take that as a nugget for me. If you are in business, dishonesty comes with that hand in hand. So then once that trust is broken, maybe you broke the trust, maybe someone has betrayed that trust with you. What do we do to regain that trust? You know, how do we do that? It all starts with our conversations and our actions. Everything that we do or say should be purposeful, and you should write this down. It's in the titles below. Everything that we do or say should be purposeful and in alignment with the trust secured in that relationship. If you have a trust relationship with somebody, everything that you do or say in that relationship with that person should be in alignment with that trust. And this is one of the things that this is just a Patrickism. Okay. This isn't one that I just wrote this quote down from a book. This is something I've experienced in my own life and through business, life, family, relationships. When you start speaking out of alignment, your words and your actions start venturing outside the boundaries of that relationship, that trust relationship you have with that person, you start weakening that bond, right? The bond starts getting weakened like a rubber band, and you can stretch that rubber band around that relationship, and it's going to be pretty giving because you trust each other, right? Your friends, your partners, your relationships. Yes, we have, sir. This exact trust chat. We've had this conversation a lot. Yeah, for sure. Uh, I just, whoa, that just jarred my memory. It sure did. Yeah, people betray our trust a lot. And when that rubber band around that relationship, because of trust and love for people, there's a lot of grace in that. And that rubber band allows that, almost like a knit glove, it allows it to stretch. Have you ever noticed that you can put a beanie cap on any size head and it'll almost always fit? Some of these little ones they make are a little tiny, but they'll fit a big old fat head like mine, right? It's funny, but trust relationships are that way. You can put this garment, this rubber band, this beanie, this sweater, whatever it is around this relationship, and it's going to stretch. It's going to continue to stretch. It's going to continue to stretch because it's a moving and living thing. It's expandable. However, it will reach a point eventually to where a rubber band can only stretch so far. A beanie can only stretch so far. You can put a beanie on a baby. You can put a beanie on a watermelon, but you can't put a beanie on a whale. It's not going to stretch that far, right? Eventually, that thing is going to stretch to its breaking point. At that point, it's going to break. How do you fix a rubber band? Can you put the two sides of a rubber band back together and just glue them and expect that rubber band to ever be as strong as it was in the beginning? Have you ever tried that? I recommend that you do. Try that sometime. You can go ahead and rip a beanie and get some knitting needles out and knit that beanie back, and it's never going to be the same as it was before. If you blow up a balloon and let the air out of it a few times, it's still going to stretch. Eventually it's going to be dry and break. It's never going to be as pliable as it was in the beginning. It's never going to be the same as it was in the beginning. The only thing that you can do to fix a rubber band is tie a knot in it, and that rubber band will work again, but there will always be evidence of that knot in the middle of the relationship. The band is always going to have a knot in it, and maybe you fixed it, and that knot is like an altar or a remembering point that you would have to go back to remember the time you broke that trust, you broke that relationship, and you're always going to have that visible in front of you. That was the time I broke my relationship. I broke my trust, and I had to come back and fix it. So how do you fix it? One of the things you need to learn to be is comfortable with being uncomfortable, because once you have broken that relationship becomes very uncomfortable. Learn to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. The person who is willing to be the most uncomfortable during the trust regaining process will eventually be the person who heals that broken trust. If you can learn to be patient with your uncomfortability, your uncomfortableness, whichever word you guys want to use, you're probably going to be the person that shows the willingness to heal that rift. It may take a very long time to regain that person's trust, but one of the things that you can do to regain that person's trust is simply start acting and speaking back in alignment with the original agreement, bond, or relationship. Now, if that relationship is a relationship that's broken, then this is a moot point and you don't want to have a relationship with that person anymore. Turn off this video. It's not for you. But I can assure you that there will be other people in your life that this video will help you with. So it's been broken in my life many times. That's right, Frankie. It can be, that rubber band can be tied together, but the bond will always be compromised. It certainly will. It will always be there. You can repair it, but it's never as good as it was before. So take time to start speaking and acting in alignment with the original agreement if that person is someone that you want to regain that relationship with. One of the first things that person can do is simply apologize. An apology goes a long way, and most of the people I know have a hard time saying I'm sorry. A few people do, you know what I mean? A few people can do it, and they're quick to apologize, and I always appreciate that. And there are times that I am, and I'm guilty, man. There are times that I am and times that I'm not. It depends on the person. It depends on the relationship that we had. But there are some times where that person feels like you betrayed their trust, and you feel like that person betrayed your trust, and neither one is willing to bend or come back together. But there will be that time when one of you feels like, you know what, it's been long enough, and I'm going to be the bigger person. And even though I feel like that person wronged me, I am going to go back and apologize to that person and do what I can to mend that rift, because I love that person. And when that emotion hits you and you feel like you are going in the right direction, you trust your spirit that you've made a good decision, I would encourage you to do that. Go back to that person and say, hey, man, I'm sorry this happened. I'm just going to take the blame for it. And I'm just going to apologize to you because I love you and I want that relationship back. Now, if that relationship is not one that you want to continue, once again, turn this video off. This is not for you. But if that relationship is one that you wish to continue, one that you wish that you had back, then go to that person. And between you and I will know you're the bigger person, right? But you go and apologize to that person. And especially even if it's for your participation in the betrayal of trust, right? Apologize to that person and say, I would like for us to heal this and be able to move forward. And at that point, that person has the decision. The ball's in their court. And it may take a long time to regain that person's trust. I was speaking in front of a group of teenagers a while back. I was invited to come speak. My wife and I, we were invited to come speak to a large youth group on a panel, a question and answer type situation. And my wife and I were the panelists on this, guest speakers. And these youth had such hard hitting questions for their age. And these kids range in age from like 13 to 19. And one of the younger kids, actually, one of the questions that came up was this exact one: how can I regain my parents' trust when I have betrayed it? Hit me like a ton of bricks. It's happened to me. It happened to me when I was a teenager. Things that I did as a youth that I'm not proud of, things that I did wrong, maybe. And this was my answer, and it's my answer to you today. It may take a long time to regain that person's trust. The best thing you can do to regain that trust is apologize for your wrongdoing, and then make a pledge to that person that you're going to honor that trust moving forward, that trust relationship. At that point, you're on trial moving forward, right? That person can say, I love you. I'm going to trust you as good as the day it ever was in the beginning. We're back on track. But they may say, hey, I'm going to accept your apology, and we're going to move forward, and we're just going to have to see how it goes. And you're going to have to be okay with that, right? Be comfortable with being uncomfortable in that process. And I believe that you will find moving forward that trust will be earned back. And this is my final thing that I could leave you with today. If you've lost that trust does not come back to you freely. Trust has to be earned back. Excellent comment, James. Look at how many times Jesus was betrayed and how he responded. He always responded with love and grace. And when that happens, healing comes into that relationship. And I believe that that's our goal. If any of you on here watching want that healing to happen in your life, you can do the same thing. What just hit me, the adage, what would Jesus do? WWJD, what would Jesus do? Move forward with grace and forgiveness. If that person chooses not to forgive you, that's on them, not you, but at least you've made the move to go forward, try to regain that relationship. And some relationships may just not be meant to be, and that's just okay. Yes, Christine, you're right. The ultimate example of forgiveness. So apology, forgiveness needs to happen. And then moving forward, you need to move forward and say and do the things that are in alignment with that original trust relationship. Hey, I've got to get off here and let y'all get back to work. I appreciate you tuning in today. Remember, if you have broken trust, betrayed a trust, or trust has been betrayed in a relationship with you, there is healing for that. You can get past it if both parties want that to happen. And over time, with a lot of grace and forgiveness, you can regain that trust relationship. It may not ever go back to the way it was before. It may have that knot in it, in the rubber band that we were talking about. But at that point, every time you see that knot or come across that knot, it will be a great reminder to you that you have repaired that rift. You have mended that betrayal of trust, and it will remind you to be that much more mindful of protecting that bond, that relationship. Yes, James, go a step further. What has Jesus already done for us? Should we not do the same for our fellow brother and sister? I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in every week. I appreciate it. Today's topic, a matter of trust. If you have broken trust or it's been betrayed in you, is there healing for that? Yes. Learn to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Take the time to make that relationship back to what it was before. I'm praying for you guys. I believe in you guys. This has been Midweek Motivation Live with Patrick Lee. I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.